Hi, Domenica here from easysewingforbeginners.com. I've decided to do some reviews on the books that I have on my bookshelf, and I've decided to start with this book, Stuffed Animals From Concept to Construction by Glassenberg, mainly because it's my most recent book purchase and because I've been making some things out of it as well. So I'll just start off just a little bit about the author. Abby blogs over at While She Naps, and she talks about some of the projects that she's working on, some tips for people creating a crafty business, and also people who are blogging as well. And she also sells her sewing projects over there as well. Now, to the book. The purpose of the book is to teach techniques and skills for designing and making your own softies, and also just to generally give inspiration for people who are wanting to design and make softies in general. The book is set out in two parts. There's a getting started part, which goes into some of the tools and materials you might need when making softies, and things you might need to consider in terms of designing and making softies as well. And then in part two, there's 16 projects that you can do that are all stuffed animals, and they are set out in the way where they have the project with step-by-step instructions, and then they go into lessons to kind of extend on the skills that you've learnt through the projects. And then at the end, there's full-size templates for all the projects, which is really good. A lot of the time you have to enlarge the projects, and that kind of puts you off getting started, except for the dinosaur one that needs to be enlarged a little bit. So, but all the templates are downloadable off the internet, and then you could enlarge them as you print them off. And there's also an index page at the back as well. Now, I decided to make a couple of the projects mainly because I was ready to make a few more softies and really wanted to test out the instructions and the book. So the first one I did was the fish project. This was the first project. I found the photos were really clear, matched up with the instructions. I did get confused though with one of the steps where I had to attach the head and the body part. I found it was pretty confusing, mainly because you had to ease in the head part to the body part, and that's something that I'd heard about, but I hadn't really done myself before, and there wasn't any picture instructions or any more explanation to go along with that. So just to give you an example of why I was confused. So this is the body of the fish, and this is the head. And when you go to sew them together, this is kind of what you have. You have, you know, the body going in that way and the head curving the other way. And so to ease them in, you had to try and get the curve of the head to match up with the curve of the body. Now, I've contacted Abby, and she's happy if I make a video to show everyone how I solve this problem. So when I make that video, I'll pop a link on this video for you. But that was quite tricky. Once I got past that, I found it was fairly easy. I did have one other problem. This fin at the top here doesn't seem to stay up, and I think what I did with that is, again, with the curves, the curve of the body goes up like that, and then the fin of the curve of the fin goes in the opposite direction. And so I think what I did is I tried to match those curves up, but I think what I would try next time is to maybe straighten that edge so it matches up a lot easier, and then give that a go and see how it turns out. But I think that's the good thing about Abby's projects. You can change them, play around with them, make them your own. But he is pretty cute. He came out a bit skinnier than I thought. I don't think I added enough seam allowance, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with him. The other project that I decided to do was the dinosaur, and I was pretty drawn to the dinosaur mainly because of the novelty of the zip mouth. So he's pretty cute. I've actually found this one pretty easy to follow in terms of the step-by-step instructions. Everything was easy to understand. The only thing I found is that it was a really time-consuming project. But I think once my little girl saw him, she fell in love with him, and because I'm a teacher, I took him into the classroom that I'm working in at the moment, and they loved him as well. So I think, you know, if the little people in your life love them, then it makes it all worth it. So yeah, the only thing I would say is, because you have to put so much stuffing in these, I got a bit excited and I broke my stuffing tool that I use for stuffing softies, so I've had to order another one of those. Just a couple of the techniques. Abby suggests using these, I think she calls them hemostats or something. I can't remember what we call them here in Australia. But I've just come back from holidays and I couldn't find these and realised that I had them in my suitcase. So I think next time I'm making a softie, I'm going to try stuffing with one of these and see how it works. The other cool thing that I the other cool tip from Abby was to put your template pieces on freezer paper, and then that way you can iron them onto the fabric and then just cut the fabric out around the freezer paper, peel it off, and then when you go to do another project you can reuse those same template pieces. So it worked really well with the fish. With the dinosaur it didn't work as well because I found that the fleece stuck to the freezer paper and it wouldn't iron on to the fleece again, so I'd have to cut the pieces out again if I wanted to make another dinosaur. But I think overall that's something that I'm going to try again and use when I'm making softies. Now, overall I think this is an excellent reference book for anyone who's interested in making softies. I probably think some prior knowledge with sewing would be helpful, but again, I think if you've got the desire to make softies, then you'll work it out. You've got Google and you've got YouTube. I used YouTube when I was making one of the patterns, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, I'd probably, if I changed anything, I'd probably want to see a glossary in the book, or maybe a more in-depth index page. Mainly because when I was doing the underbody gusset of the dinosaur, I remember I did see it on one of the other projects and I saw it in one of the lessons, but I couldn't remember exactly where. And when I went to the index, it didn't have the page number of where the lesson was for making the gussets. So I had to flick through the book to find it. So that's probably just a little thing. But overall, I think Abby's a very talented person and I think she's done an awesome job with the book. So yeah, if you're into softies or think you might be into making softies, I definitely think this is one for the bookshelf. Now you can get this book on Amazon if you're in the US, and if you're in Australia or other parts of the world, I recommend trying the Book Depository. And I'll put affiliate links for those in the description box below, and I do thank you if you choose to purchase the book through those links. So yeah, hit the thumbs up if you've liked this book review, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with more videos that I bring out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.